if I have one of my witnesses?
Good morning, everyone. We're here on the record in the matter of the detriment hearing for Midtown Restaurant and Bar, Deidre Barron, licensee. We are on the record. My name is Brian Malone. I'll be serving as hearing officer appointed to hear this matter. The Excise Commissioner, Miles McDonald, has recused himself, so I'll be serving in his role today. I'm in receipt of a notice of detriment hearing dated March 12th, 2024, directed to Midtown Restaurant and Bar. I show that it was served on counsel for the licensee via email on March 14th. I'll note that the notice provided that any party could object to the case being reassigned to me within 10 days and that no objection has been received. Could the parties please announce themselves? Who's here for the city?
Vanna Shaw.
Anyone else?
Robert West.
Okay. And who's here for the licensee?
That would be Charles H. Billings, private attorney.
Okay. And can I ask the city how many witnesses you intend to call today?
5.
And Mr. Billings, how many do you intend to call?
I believe 2, please.
Okay. All right. This is a hearing under Chapter 14 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis to determine whether the license issued to Midtown Restaurant and Bar should be suspended, revoked, or canceled. It will be conducted under the auspices of Chapter 536 of the Missouri Statutes. Under Chapter 14, the Excise Commissioner is empowered to revoke, cancel, or suspend, or fine licensees for violations of Chapter 14, and that the licensee is entitled to a hearing. Are there any pre-hearing matters that we need to discuss before we proceed?
Not for the city.
Okay. Does the city wish to make an opening statement?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Billings, I'm sorry, did you have anything before?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead and proceed.
Okay. Good morning to the hearing officer, Midtown Bar and Grill, his associates, and to everyone present today. My name is Vanna Shaw, and I represent the Office of Excise for the City of St. Louis. Today we are here for the detriment hearing of Midtown Bar and Grill located at 2816 North Vanderveer Avenue in the City of St. Louis. Essentially, we are here to determine whether the liquor license will be revoked. Having a liquor license in the City of St. Louis is a privilege, and with that privilege comes certain duties and responsibilities. Today, I will present evidence that Midtown Bar and Grill did not uphold those duties and responsibilities in that it failed to report certain criminal activity, cooperate with officers doing that criminal activity, and to report a change in ownership, among other things. At the end of this hearing, I will ask the officer to find Midtown to be a detriment to the community based on 13 factors provided in the Code of Excise, as well as to have that license revoked. Thank you.
Mr. Billings, do you wish to make an opening statement or reserve?
No, I would just as soon make an opening statement if it please the
Please proceed.
hearing officer. Maybe it shortens things up. It is a position of the licensee that, well, they are in a relatively high crime neighborhood in the part of the city, that they have done everything that has been asked of them by the City of St. Louis. Particularly in the past, the Excise Commissioner and the city of, on behalf of the City of St. Louis, has requested licensee to obtain its own private security at its own expense. It did that, and it now has, by agreement with the Excise Commissioner and the City of St. Louis, it has its own private security every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night from 7 p.m. till close, which would be 11 p.m. An additional issue that was brought to the licensee by the Excise Commissioner and the city was that they were open till 1:30, and that was a time when crime would be increased, and they were concerned. By agreement between the licensee and the city, they agreed to close at 11 p.m. So that is, the last call is at 10:30, and the call is at 11 o'clock. There were other issues of cooperation, one of which was that the second floor of this building was housing some homeless people and some people that may have been involved in crime. The city asked them to close it. They boarded it up at their own expense. They have kicked out all tenants, prospective tenants, from the second floor, and it is completely abandoned and is not rented. It is our position at this hearing is that the licensee is doing everything the city is asking, and has been doing everything the city is asking, is trying to maintain a safe and secure restaurant in a volatile area. The issues that you're going to hear about today, I anticipate, are going to be from 2021 and maybe spilling over into 2022. Since that time, we have had elements of the pandemic, we have had policing issues, we have had crime issues, and this facility has done everything in its power to maintain a safe and secure environment. So that is our position at this hearing, and that may shorten it up if that agrees with any of the parts of the city's case. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, does the city have any exhibits it wishes to introduce this time?
Yes, I would like to introduce the excise file, a notice of detriment hearing, and a certified copy of ordinance 68536, the excise code.
Okay, any objection? Mr.
No
Miller?
objection.
Okay. All right, the city can go ahead and call its first witness.
Thank you. First witness is Gwen Cherry Sims, liquor supervisor.
I do.
Proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Cherry Sims, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Gwendolyn Cherry Sims. I'm a liquor control supervisor for the City of St. Louis Excise Division.
How long have you been with the Office of Excise?
I've been with the Office of Excise since 1994.
What are your duties?
I'm a liquor control supervisor. I oversee the day-to-day operations. I investigate underage drinking. I investigate hidden ownership. Any improper acts that occur on or about the premise, we look at infractions regarding the liquor ordinance.
Okay. Are you familiar with the location at 2816 North Beneventer?
Yes.
Okay. What is the name of that?
Midtown Restaurant and Bar and Grill, LLC.
And how are you familiar with that location?
They got they filed a liquor application back in 2015. And
Was that application granted, or was the license granted?
the liquor license application was granted, yes.
Okay. And what date did you say that the license application was from?
This application, excuse me one moment, please. October of 15, excuse me. October 15, the application was filed.
Okay. Okay, and you have a copy of the application in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, who is the licensee on the application?
Midtown Restaurant Bar and Grill LLC, doing business as Midtown Restaurant. The managing officer is Ms. Deidre P. Barron.
And are there any other names associated with this application?
None listed at this time.
Okay, as a licensee, what about the name and address of the owner of the building?
According to the application, the name and the address of the owner of the building was Mr. Kim Martin of 3822 Greer.
Was there any other paperwork that was to be submitted with that license application?
With the license application, there are several documents that are required to be submitted.
And can you explain those, please?
The documents that's required to be submitted is a operating agreement. In the operating agreement, it would detail all of the shareholders within the LLC, the EIN number of the LLC, the Missouri sales tax license, a record check on any and all employees within the LLC.
Okay. And were any terms and conditions placed on that license at the time?
They were not initially placed on the license when the application was applied for. The term and condition from the Excise Division was placed on the license on May the 3rd, 2017.
Okay. Before we move on, I would like to admit a copy of liquor or beer license application.
No objection.
All right, will be admitted.
And just for the sake of the hearing officer, you all also have a copy of the exhibits as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so no terms and conditions were initially placed on Midtown Bar and Grill, but you stated that terms and conditions were later placed.
Yes.
Okay, and why is that?
Basically, the terms and conditions that was placed on the license on March the 3rd, 2017 was placed by myself based upon the neighborhood complaints and different behaviors that was occurring on or about the licensed premise at the time in 2017.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit more about those complaints?
The complaints were that allegedly that a lot of shootings were occurring, disturbances, fights, brawls,
If
and
I may object to this line of questioning, in terms of the investigators' actions, we have not objected to that or to their file. But as to reports made to them that are not incorporated in a report or not a business record, I would object as being hearsay.
So I can change the question. Did you receive any complaints?
yes,
Okay. And is that part of your capacity as the liquor control supervisor to receive complaints?
it's a part of the office capacity to receive complaints as they come in via phone, anonymous, CSB. That's
Okay,
how we
and
get our complaints.
where do you receive these complaints from?
Via phone, Citizen Service Bureau,
Okay.
police reports, etc.
Okay. And after you received these complaints, did you begin an investigation?
Yes.
Okay. When did you first begin an investigation into the property?
Initially in 2017, when we began and placed the term and condition, we went further into the investigation initially 18 to 21. Then because of the COVID, we had to cut back and pause the investigation in going to have them to come in. And then we picked it back up 21 and 22.
Okay. And what were those terms and conditions that were placed on Midtown?
At the time, we put a term and condition that the licensee shall have security from 10 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Thursday through Saturday, and that the licensee shall install recordable security equipment within 30 days of the date listed above, which was March 3rd, 2017.
What's the significance of these
Excuse
terms?
me, May 3rd, 2017.
Can you repeat that date, please?
The date is May 3rd, 2017, not March 3rd, May 3rd.
Okay. What is the significance of those terms and conditions?
The terms and conditions was placed on the license because getting the complaints and of the time in which the complaints were being made for the alleged infractions of, we felt that it was the time of 10 p.m. to 1:30 prior to closing, that we were getting the complaints for that particular establishment, and that the incidents was occurring on the premise. And we felt the need that if we would install a recordable device, cameras, et cetera, that it would aid and assist us in determining what was occurring on or about the licensed premise on the interior.
Okay, so specifically, you implemented these terms and conditions based on the complaints you.
Yes,
So the nature of complaints would have influenced the terms and conditions.
correct.
What were the complaints that you received?
That it was fights going on. At the time, it was fights. They were uncooperative with the police department. Shootings occurring, stabbings occurring, a lot of unlawful acts, drugs being sold.
Thank you. At this time, I move to admit Exhibit 2, the terms and conditions.
Any objection?
As to noting my previous objection, as to the hearsay, I have no further objection.
Okay, your objection will be taken with the case. This will be admitted.
After the terms and conditions were placed, was there any agreement entered into with Midtown in order to try to remedy the situation?
Well, we placed their license on a 60, maybe a 90-day renewal where we could monitor the establishment more so in the renewal process, monitor the establishment because of the behaviors that was occurring on or about the licensed premise.
Okay. And are you aware of any other terms and conditions placed on Midtown by Excise or any other city entity?
Basically, I was informed later that, excuse me, a term and condition placed by the nuisance department, and I'm not certain of all the terms that they had placed. I think they kind of changed the days in which the term and condition was initially set in place, but those terms and conditions were not collaborated with the excise division at all.
Okay, and when you say collaborated, is there a duty to report if additional terms and conditions are placed on Midtown?
Yes, Midtown should have reported that there was a change from another city entity that had occurred on or about their premise or for their premise.
And was that reported?
No, not at all,
Okay,
by Midtown.
okay. Was it reported by
We
someone?
received a copy of the term and condition by Mrs. Kate Epkamp, which is a neighborhood improvement specialist, after we were told that they were deemed a nuisance.
Okay. And are you aware of a consent agreement from April 2nd of 2021?
What was the name of the document?
A consent agreement?
Yes, we received this consent agreement in the excise division. This consent agreement was from the City of St. Louis Health Department.
Okay.
And I'm going to object to the consent agreement. The city was kind enough to send me a front page of a consent agreement, and I also received a page 3, but I did not receive a consent agreement other than pages 1 and 3, and and I don't have a signature and I don't have a date. So I would object to the document. Maybe the hearing officer has the entire document.
I have before me a total of a 4-page document. Do you have a copy of that you can provide to the attorney for the licensee?
I do.
Okay. If you could show that to him, please.
Okay, you can actually look at my copy.
And I'm not sure I have an objection. I just don't have a document.
Okay.
Prints it on the back. Always the way. I have no objection.
Thank you.
Ms. Sherry Sanders, can I have you explain that consent agreement, please?
Unfortunately, this consent agreement was by the health department, and based upon what I'm reading, I can't explain it, but I can just indicate that it was a consent agreement by Midtown Sports Bar and Grill with the St. Louis City Health Commissioner, indicating that their occupancy shall be limited to 50% of the total permitted occupancy, and that they shall employ secondary employment, which is the police department, Thursday through Sunday at Midtown.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you receive this agreement as part of your investigation?
Yes, I did.
And from what you're reviewing, who signed this agreement?
This agreement was signed by Marcia Edwards, owner and manager, and Ms. Deidre Barron, owner and manager.
Okay, now going back to the first exhibit that we looked at, the license, were both of those names present on the first license?
No.
Okay. What name was added on this agreement?
Marcia Edwards.
Okay, and was the Office of Excise aware that Marcia Edwards was acting as an owner?
No.
Okay. Did Midtown have a duty to report that to the Office of Excise?
Yes, any change in facts, yes, they are required to submit.
Okay, did you review any other documents to verify that information?
Yes,
Okay, what else did you review?
I reviewed, well, what I did is I did a subpoena for Missouri Division of Alcohol liquor license application. At no time did it disclose Ms. Marcia Elwoods to be owner or a member of the LLC.
Okay, thank you. And did you learn any, what did you receive as a result of that subpoena?
Would you repeat that?
What did you receive as a result of that subpoena?
The result of the subpoena was information from the Missouri Division of Alcohol and Tobacco under the Sunshine Request. It was a computer database printout of the license application as well as the type of license that was applied for, the shareholder and sole member, Ms. Deidre Barron, also the amount of shares she had, the effective date of the application, and that no other member was listed as a shareholder or a member, that Ms. Deidre Barron was 100% owner.
Okay, and so I want to direct your attention to the last page of this packet, or what you received with your sunshine request. And it says commercial lease.
Yes.
Okay, can you explain that document, please?
This is a document that was submitted to the Excise Division on behalf of Midtown Restaurant and Bar LLC. It was a lease between Mr. Kim A. Martin of 3822 Greer and Ms. Deidre Barron, in parentheses, Midtown Restaurant Bar LLC.
Okay, so based on this document, as stated, Kim Martin owns the property.
Yes.
And what does it say he's responsible for?
He's responsible for the heating, cooling, sewer, water, and trash.
Okay, and based on your experience, as in your capacity, is that common for the owner to provide heating, cooling, sewer, water, and trash?
Objection, that's irrelevant.
I'm asking based on her experience.
That's not before the pleadings of this commission, and that's not before the court. That's not a violation. And the fact that other leaseholders have other lease terms is not relevant.
I'll take your objection with the case, Mr. Billings.
Thank you.
You can answer the question.
I may answer the question. Generally, a commercial leaser, they do not cover the heating, cooling, sewer, and water of a leasee. For commercial, the leaser is the person that's responsible.
And again, based on your experience, why?
Excuse me, the leasee is the person that's responsible. Based on my experience, we get a lot of lease coming into the office, and most of them indicate the person, the tenant who's leasing the property, is responsible for their own utilities.
Okay, do you know why that is?
And I further object. This witness is not a realtor, is not shown to be a licensee, and is basing it on other people's application, which is irrelevant.
I'll take your objection with the case.
Thank you.
You can answer the question.
Would you state the question again, please?
Yeah, do you know why that's normally the case, that the property owner is not responsible for heating, cooling, sewer, water, and trash?
That they are or would not be?
Would not be.
Well, generally, they don't want to take on that burden. They give that to the person who's leasing the premise.
Okay. All right, did you subpoena any other records?
I subpoenaed records from Spire.
Okay, and what did that reveal?
Spire revealed that there was no account under the name Midtown Restaurant Bar and Grill.
Okay, what was the account under?
The account for that location was under Mr. Kim Martin.
Okay. And anyone else? Did you subpoena records from anywhere else?
I had subpoena records from Ameren, Missouri.
And what did that subpoena reveal?
The account for Ameren, Missouri also revealed that Mr. Kim A. Martin was the biller for the Ameren account.
Okay. And any other utilities?
I also subpoenaed the account for the Metropolitan Sewer District.
Okay. And your investigation, what did that reveal?
That Mr. Kim A. Martin was the owner of the property and the sewer bill was in his name.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I would like to admit, let's see, the exhibits concerning MSD, Spire, Ameren, as well as the state license.
Any objection, Mr. Billings?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, we would, hearing officer, sorry. Yes, first of all, it's irrelevant, but aside from that, the lease that has been introduced into evidence indicates that it is Mr. Kim Martin's responsibility to provide electric, sewer, and these other terms that have been brought forth. So it is not before this tribunal that he's doing anything other than keeping with the lease. I don't see the significance. I think it's trying to build a straw party for something that doesn't exist, and I don't think it's relevant, and I object to the admission of any records from the utilities.
All right, your objection will be taken with the case. Thank you.
Okay. What did you do next as part of your investigation? What did you do next as part of your investigation?
Based upon the investigation, we went based up off police reports were given to us by the police department that anytime that an incident occurs on or about the licensed premises, they're supposed to notify us. When the licensee does not notify us, the police department will give us police records regarding the infractions that occurred.
Okay. And what did you learn from that?
Based upon the police reports that was given to us, I learned that allegedly there were several incidents that occurred: assault third degree, assault first degree, aggravated shooting.
Okay. Do you know whether the property was deemed a nuisance in 2020?
It was brought to our attention later, yes.
Okay. Do you know how many times the property has been deemed a nuisance since then?
I went back in the system and it's been over 5 years.
Okay. Are you aware of an alleged aggravated assault that occurred on July of 21?
On July the 8th of 2021,
Yes. Are you aware?
yes,
Okay.
as per police report that was submitted to our office.
Okay. Are you aware of an alleged assault third that occurred on May 26th of 2022?
Yes, we were made aware of that report based upon the police department submitting a report to our office.
Are you aware of an alleged assault that occurred on July 6th of 2020?
Yes,
I'm sorry,
based
what?
upon a report.
July 6th, 2022?
Thank you.
And how were you made aware of these incidents?
The Metropolitan Police Department sent the reports to us via the sergeant who handles problem properties. They sent the report to us. We reviewed the report and saw that improper acts had been occurring on or about the licensed premise that were not reported to our office by the licensee.
Does Midtown have a duty to report these incidents?
Yes, as per ordinance.
Okay. Is there a duty to cooperate with police per the ordinance?
Yes, as per ordinance.
Okay. And are you aware whether or not Midtown was cooperative with police?
As per police report from an incident that occurred that indicated that Ms. Deidre Barron, who is the licensed managing officer and sole member of the LLC, she failed to give an employee the the password to review a tape based upon an infraction of a shooting or stabbing that had occurred on the licensed premise.
Okay. As part of your investigation, did you find any other failures to report on behalf of Midtown?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what was that?
We have the three incidents you spoke of that are documented in the notice, but we have several other reports that they failed to report that on July the 20th, 21, that they had engaged in a nuisance behavior, and that on July the 15th, they had failed to report that a first and second degree assault had occurred. On January the 5th, 2021, that they failed to report that a murder first had occurred in the immediate vicinity or on about the licensed premise.
Okay. And does Midtown have a license, as a licensee, have a duty to report anything concerning payroll?
If they're asked regarding it, regarding any employee that works on their licensed premise as a part of an investigation in establishing if that person worked there, we request and they're required to keep their payroll records, invoices up to 2 years on a licensed premise regarding an employee. If they're paid or not, if they perform the duties of an employee, we can request that if that employee is there, any kind of payroll information that they have on that.
No. Did you make an investigation concerning payroll?
We did a subpoena to request the information based upon the employees that Mrs. Deidre Barron had provided to our office.
And what did you request?
Say it one more time.
What did you request?
We did a subpoena and we requested from 2018 to 2021 a copy of the bank statements for the general operating account, payroll account for Midtown Restaurant and Bar from 2018. We requested a copy of the 1099 statement for any employee that worked for them and also the name of the company they utilized for the payroll account.
Okay. And what did that reveal?
Well, we received 2, what they say were W-2s that did not have a Social Security number, which no federal taxes were being withheld for those employees. No 1099s were being provided on the employees to anyone. And
Okay.
no employee information was reported on 2 of the other employees that were initially stated to be employees within the LLC. No data was reported on those persons.
Okay. And so based on the information you received, how many employees did Midtown have?
It was stated that Midtown had 5 employees.
Okay. And that's according to the payroll?
That's according to what Midtown had reported to our office.
Okay. And you received information on all 5 of those employees?
No.
How many employees did you receive information on?
Basically, one, Ms. Marcia Edwards, and a partial statement for Mr. Kim Martin on a document that would have been constituted as a W-2. Again, the W-2 did not have a federal, did not have the employee's Social Security number on it. It only had what would have been the EIN number for the Midtown Restaurant
So
Bar and
what
Grill.
does that indicate?
Where it was printed, the number was printed on the document.
Okay, well, what does that indicate that there's no income tax or?
When I spoke with the earning tax department, they indicated that no federal taxes were being withheld. They indicated there was no 1099 being filed on any of the employees that work for Midtown Restaurant and Bar.
Okay, so I want to direct your attention to verification of food and liquor sales schedule of gross receipts. And is that information that you received as part of your subpoena?
This information is received whenever a licensee renew their license in the excise division, and it has some food. This is verification of their food and liquor breakdown sales.
Okay, so what is the gross receipts on the first page?
The gross receipts on the first page, the receipt sale indicate 60,206.05.
Okay, and that would be for what period, what date of time?
They indicated this was March the 1st of 2017 to February the 28th of 2018.
Okay, and so from March 1st, 2017 to February 28, 2018, it's saying that they made 61,000.
Again, I'm sorry, this is a late objection, but I'm making a note here. The evidence we're getting into is now 7, 8 years old. That's even beyond the IRS regulations of 7 years. I'm reject and move to be stricken any evidence regarding subpoenas back from 2017. The licensee has had his license up until the present date, and this is totally irrelevant to the proceedings here today. It is not part of the notice of the detriment hearing that has been brought to us, and it is not relevant or germane to the applicable matters before this tribunal.
Your objection's noted, and I'll take that with the case.
Thank you.
And if I could just respond quickly, this is not an IRS hearing, and she's established, Gwen Cherry Sims, that Midtown did have a duty to report, and this shows that what they did and did not report.
Understood. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Okay. All right, and then on the second page, what is that, that period of time?
April 1st, 2018 through March the 31st, 2019.
And what is the gross receipt there?
57,591.
Okay. And there are a few more pages. We don't have to go through each page, but in total, with all these pages, what is that information revealed to you?
The information that they provided with their food and liquor sales is that the company is reporting bare minimum, anywhere from 51,000 to 60,000, but she yet employs 5 employees.
I'm going to object to that for the same reason as the staleness of the information, but also I object to the testimony as to minimums or not. That is without foundation. Could I just be a running objection if it may, rather than me running?
Yes, your objection will be noted for the record. Take that with the case.
Thank you.
You can answer the questions.
Oh. Okay, and I'm sorry, was that everything that, I know you were stating what that, this information revealed to you as part of your investigation?
Yes, as part of the investigation, we try to make sure that a licensee is operating in good faith in reporting and working with the earning tax department, working with the license collector's office in reporting and having the proper license, the proper taxes, and the information here is that it appears that this particular entity is not reporting employees that work for them. They're not holding or have not established a federal account where those persons are paying taxes. Under the federal guideline, all employees shall pay taxes.
Okay. At this time, I would like to admit the verification of food and liquor sales, as well as the tax, W-2 tax documents.
Object for the previous reason, and it is not a record that is, the fact that it's been subpoenaed doesn't make it an official record of the Excise Commission, and nor is it within their bailiwick or their scope of duties to enforce all issues as to all taxes. Their job is to enforce the ordinances related to alcohol and liquor control in the city of St. Louis. For those reasons, I would object strenuously to the admission of these documents.
Any response, Ms. Shaw?
Just quickly, again, there's a duty to report, and Ms. Gwen Cherry Sims is explaining that Midtown did not uphold their duty to report certain information to the Excise Commission.
All right, I'm going to note Mr. Billings' objection to the admission of the exhibit and receive it into the record. I'll take the objection with the case.
Thank you.
Okay, did your investigation reveal any other violations?
Would you repeat that a little bit?
Did your investigation reveal any other violations?
Our investigation reveals several other violations, basically that the Midtown restaurant and or its employees have failed on 2 occasions that were documented that they failed to cooperate with the police department based upon an investigation, or excuse me, based upon an assault that occurred on the licensed premise, and also that an employee failed to assist the police department or cooperate. Ms. Marcia Elvis failed to cooperate with the police department when they were trying to review reports after a person had been shot on the premise.
Okay.
Also, our investigation discovered that Mr. Kim Martin was never reported as an employee, as a shareholder, an owner within the LLC. The no change of ownership has ever been reported to us that
And let me stop you there. You said Mr. Kim Martin was not reported as a shareholder. How did you learn that information, that he was a shareholder?
Basically, when we subpoenaed the information from the bank, it indicated that Mr. Kim Martin was an owner and that he was on the signature card signing statements for the bank. Also, based upon Mr. Martin's admission in hearings that were pertaining to the owner of the building, he would sign and he would go to the neighborhood meetings, and meaning the nuisance meetings, and indicated that he was the owner. He represented Midtown Bar and Grill.
Okay. So let me just make sure that based on the first document, he was listed as the owner of the premises, but it sounds like later he was holding himself out in meetings to be the owner.
Yes.
Bar and Grill, okay. Okay, so did you, and you also said you did an investigation into payroll. Did you do an investigation, as you mentioned, looking into bank statements with any other purchases made by Midtown?
Yeah, we did the subpoenas to account for Midtown, the business account for Midtown, and at that time it was determined that Mr. Kim Martin, who is the property owner, was also a member and owner of Midtown on their bank statement.
Did he make any purchases?
It appears that Mr. Kim Martin was making several purchases from other than licensed wholesalers. He was making purchases from other retailers with their credit card.
And is that a requirement of a licensee?
A licensee have to make all of their liquor purchases from a duly licensed wholesaler.
Okay. And can you let us know where you found purchases were made outside of a wholesaler?
Basically, the purchases that we had determined, several purchases made from Royal Food, several other purchases were made from Jay's Packaged Liquor, several other purchases was made from, it's 2 Royal Foods, one Royal Food on Union and the other Royal Food, well, it's in the 3436 Union Boulevard, and the other one is at the location of, it was 2 on Union.
And how did you discover that these purchases were made?
Based upon the receipts that we subpoenaed from the vendor.
Can you give some specific purchases that were made?
18 1-liter bottles of Remy Martin, 2 bottles of Uncle Nearest 1884 small batch, 750 milliliter bottles of Douce, 9 1-liter bottles of Remy, and we also checked with the licensed wholesaler during the same time that the purchases were made from the retail vendor. Those purchases were not made for that type of liquor from the wholesaler.
Can you give an approximate total of the purchases that were not made from a wholesaler?
From one vendor, which was like Elite Market, the largest purchase that they had made from Elite Market was $1,102.62. The largest purchase that they had made from Jay's, which is the Royal Liquor on Union, their largest purchase they had made was $2,576.05. They also made a large purchase from Jay's Packaged Liquor, which is on Riverview. They had made a purchase from them for $2,868.93.
Okay, so based on your testimony, these were purchases in larger cash amounts. And was it one purchase or were these several purchases?
It was several purchases throughout the month.
Okay. And how could you trace who made these purchases?
Based upon the credit card was signed out to Mr. Kim Martin.
Okay. And I know you mentioned again Mr. Kim Martin. Did you do an investigation into him at all to try to figure out who this extra person was?
We did look into CaseNet and saw Mr. Martin's name in CaseNet, yes.
And what did you find?
That's hearsay.
Objections noted for the record. I'll take it with the case. The witness can answer.
That Mr. Martin was listed in CaseNet as having a felony charge.
Do you know what that charge was?
I don't recall, but I did place it in the record.
Okay. And can somebody with a felony charge obtain a liquor license?
Legal conclusion?
I'll take that objection with the case. The witness can answer if she knows.
Based on the excise code?
They can obtain a liquor license. They can have 10% ownership within a liquor license, but they have to get a qualification hearing
Okay.
by the excise commissioner too.
And this was not the process that was taken with Midtown?
At no time had Mr. Kim Martin or anyone from Midtown Restaurant, Bar and Grill requested a qualification hearing for any of its employees.
Okay. So I do want to call your attention quickly to the charging documents. Most of these charges are from 2020 through 2022. Or do you know why that is?
Yes, basically due to COVID, we investigation because of COVID and then staffing shortage within the excise division.
Okay. And based on your experience, your investigation into Midtown Bar and Grill, the 13 factors that call a property to be a detriment, would you state that this property is an asset to the community or a detriment?
Objection. That calls for a conclusion based on improper evidence. This witness has not been qualified, or no foundation has been laid for her to make an opinion judgment. That is before this tribunal, and it is not the subject matter of a testimony.
I'll take the objection with the case, and the witness can answer.
If I could just respond quickly, She is the liquor control supervisor, and that is exactly the substance of her investigation, was to determine whether or not Midtown Bar and Grill is a detriment or whether they've been doing what they need to do to keep their license intact.
And further, the witness has stated her position was that of an investigator for liquor control. It has been in that capacity, and I'm familiar with the witness. I'm not questioning her qualifications as an investigator. I'm saying that as an investigator, a police officer can't testify as to essential and ultimate facts before a jury, no more than this witness can testify as to ultimate facts before this tribunal.
Understood. Thank you both, and I'll take the objection with the case, and I'll give the testimony its due weight. Thank you. You can answer the question.
Based upon the infractions that have occurred on or about the licensed premise, they would be a detriment under the standards of the code itself, indicating crimes committed upon or in the immediate vicinity of a licensed premise by persons who frequent the licensed premise or by the licensee employees, agents, or servants.
Okay, and based on the excise code 1402.010, what duties do you have? I'm sorry, 1402.030. What duties and powers do you have under the excise code?
(1402), what was the last three?
Let's see. Liquor control officers.
What section?
Liquor control supervisor, sorry, 020, liquor control supervisors. What duties are you given according to the excise code? So let me state that in its entirety, 14.02.020. Duties and employees. What duties are you giving under the excise code?
And Mr. Hearing Officer, that document's already been admitted without objection. It's part of the record. I'd say the document speaks for itself.
Ms. Shaw,
So I'm asking her what her duties are.
I'll take your objection with the case. The witness can answer.
Based upon the ordinance, the liquor control duties shall be the same as those prescribed for the excise commissioner to be performed by him at the discretion and under the control of the excise commissioner.
So essentially, you have the same, you're not solely an investigator or a police officer for excise, but you have the same duties and responsibilities as the excise commissioner in his absence, correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right, thank you. No further questions for the witness.
Cross-examination, Mr. Billings.
If I may. So you checked with the Secretary of State, and you checked with your own files, and you checked with the city records. The only thing that has Kim Martin associated with this licensee is a bank signature card. Is that what you just testified to?
He has a bank signature card and other documentation that he has signed with nuisance.
Well, that's not under oath, and that's just a neighborhood organization where he could be representing the property owner, which there's no question about the fact that he's the property owner. Isn't that a fact?
Correct, he is the property owner.
And he could be testifying in a nuisance, because it's a nuisance property, that he would be testifying on his own behalf as the owner of the property, correct?
I can't say correct for that. I know that he's testifying for nuisance, but I cannot say that he's only testifying on behalf of the property. I
Okay,
can't.
well, that's my point. You don't know. You weren't at the hearing, correct?
Correct.
When you talked about Mr. Kim Martin buying liquor, that was on December the 23rd, right before Christmas, was it not? And I might be right. It'd be December 22nd.
It wasn't just that day, sir. It was several days.
And it was all in December, and it was all right before Christmas, correct?
For that particular day, yes, but there are other days that are
Okay.
not listed.
Please check your records and indicate any purchase that was made by Kim Martin on any credit card that was not made in, right before Christmas?
On December the 13th, on December the 12th, there are several days throughout the month that Mr. Martin had made purchases from other than a duly licensed
Is there
wholesaler.
anything illegal about Mr. Martin going to a liquor store and buying liquor?
When it's being used at the
Is there anything
establishment.
illegal about Mr. Martin going to a liquor store and buying liquor?
If he's utilizing Midtown
Ma'am,
credit card.
Objection,
he's an
Your Honor.
individual,
He's
right?
asking a
Please let the
question and
witness
not
answer.
allowing the witness.
What evidence do you have that this liquor that Kim Martin purchased, and I'll take your word for it that he has a credit card, and then he purchased liquor on his credit card. Did you check the tax stamp on liquor? Liquor has tax stamps, does it not?
Liquor has tax stamps,
Did you
but
check to see if that tax stamp was associated with a wholesaler or with a distributor or anything of that nature?
I checked the wholesale department themselves. I checked with the wholesale distributors.
Okay? But if Mr. Martin or anybody else in the city of St. Louis bought liquor and gave it away as Christmas gifts, that is not a violation of any law related to the liquor of another establishment that he's on the signature card for. Correct?
Would you repeat that question, sir?
We've already established that he's not on the state records. He is not an owner. Other than the fact that he holds himself out at a neighborhood meeting as the associated with this address, and the fact that he's on a signature card is his only relationship to the Midtown Restaurant and Bar LLC. You've testified. You've also testified that you have records of him buying liquor at a liquor store. You so testified, using his credit card, and we'll take your word for that. Those two
Objection, Your Honor.
things,
He's misstating the witness testimony.
how do those two things match?
I'll note your
Because-
objection. For
I
that.
would like a ruling on the objection before you continue the question.
I'll take your objection with the case. Thank you.
What evidence do you have that that liquor was sold in that establishment at any time?
It was purchased for Midtown. If Mr. Martin didn't purchase it for Midtown, utilizing Midtown credit card, why would he use Midtown credit card? Why would he have the authorization to use Midtown credit card?
My question is, you didn't check the tax stamp, you didn't go into the bar, you have no evidence that any bottle of anything that you described was ever used in the bar. He could have thrown it down the sewer, he could have given it to his neighbors, he could have done anything. There's no evidence that that was used in the Midtown restaurant, correct?
I did not go into the premise to see Mr. Kim Martin place the liquor in the establishment.
Did you go into the premises to see if that establishment even carries that type of liquor?
And that's the point, that the wholesaler said that he did not order that type of liquor from them, but they were selling it.
Did you or anybody in your office go into...
Not anyone in my office, but someone went into the establishment.
Did you investigate this Midtown bar and look in there to see if they even carried and offered for sale that liquor? Yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Well, it hasn't been answered.
I'll take the objection with the case. The witness can answer the question.
Yes, the liquor was purchased by Mr. Kim Martin for Midtown use. The licensees who sold the liquor to Mr. Martin indicated same.
Mr. Billings, please let her answer her question.
Okay? Go ahead.
I'm finished.
Did you go into the Midtown restaurant to see if that liquor that was purchased by some location, allegedly by someone who's on a signature card, was even offered for sale at the Midtown?
No, someone else went in and made a purchase.
In December of 2021?
No, I did not go in December of 2021.
You indicated that your information dealt with crime in the neighborhood, and you received police reports. And did you read those police reports?
Yes,
And you said the first one was July the 8th, and that was an assault, correct? And if you want to pull the report, I'm not, this isn't a test. July the 8th, do you see the report?
I don't have the report with me, no.
Oh. You're testifying as to police reports and you didn't offer them? You don't have these records?
I don't have them right here with me, but police reports are based upon the report that I submitted, sir.
Well, then you're gonna have to take my word for it. And I have a report, I'm happy to show it to you. You recalled that being an assault there whereby there was a shooting from a motor vehicle. Is that correct?
Which report is it, sir?
I'm July the 8th, you just testified to it. And I'm going to direct your attention now, let's see, okay. First page, it says incident summary. Much of this is blacked out, and I apologize, I can't give you more information because it's all redacted. On page 1, it said victim number 2 states that there was a shooting at or from a motor vehicle at a person, motor vehicle, or building. You recall that language in the police report?
So, objection, Your Honor, this is beyond the scope of direct. She said she was made aware of that incident. She did not testify as to what happened during that incident.
Well, would it refresh your recollection if I handed you the report?
I would like a ruling. Again, she did not testify as to what happened on that date and time.
Well,
I'm going
go ahead.
to take your objection with the case. You can ask her questions.
You're not saying to this hearing officer that this restaurant that happens to have a liquor license is responsible for all crime in the neighborhood?
No, sir. They're
And-
responsible for reporting it to the excise
Well,
division.
If it didn't happen, if it happened on the street, if it's a drive-by shooting, that is not at or about the location of Midtown Restaurant at 2816. Otherwise, they're reporting all crime and happenings that happen in the district, correct?
That's your statement, yes.
Well, your interest is crime that happens inside the licensed premises, correct?
On or about the licensed
All
premise.
right. And the licensed premises are described as the bar, the restaurant, its storage, and any pertinent areas. Is that correct?
Sidewalk, establishment, yes.
And a shooting in the street on St. Louis Avenue is not pertinent to the premises, is it?
When a police report detailed that an incident has occurred on or about the vicinity of 2816 North Vandervenner, that's of concern to the excise division.
Okay, I understand. But you're going on the address that the police put down as a location of occurrence, correct?
Based upon the police report, sir.
All right. And you also understand that the police oftentimes for street crimes or vacant lot crimes or intersection crimes don't have a precise address but so they just put the closest address that they can identify. Isn't
And
that
that's an
correct?
objection. Cause for spec officer.
Take that with the case. The witness can answer the question.
Your understanding, they would put down an address that's nearby that they can identify, correct?
Yes.
Doesn't mean that there's anything that happened inside or at that premises, correct?
But if it's in the immediate vicinity, the licensee should call the excise division or submit a written report indicating that an incident had occurred within the vicinity of their property.
Did you see the video on this assault?
No, sir.
If I told you that the video shows yellow tape that runs from the street over to a gas station across the street and doesn't even show anything at this liquor store, would you disagree with that?
Would I what, sir?
If I suggested, recommended to you, or if I told you that the video shows, the police video would show that there's yellow tape of a crime scene and that goes in the street and over to the gas station across the street, and not at this restaurant. Would you disagree with that?
If it's from patrons who frequent the licensed premise, under the factors to be considered, if that person frequents the licensed premise, or would that problem with this shooting occur if that establishment was not there? That's what we look at, the behavior of the neighborhood, the behavior of the events or the improper acts that are occurring on or about in the immediate vicinity of the licensed establishments.
You indicated there was another report you received on May the 26th,
Yes,
which was apparently a bar fight between two women that was broken up by security. Each refused medical attention. Is that right? From your recollection.
I can't say what I'm looking at does not say each refused medical attention. It just indicated that an alleged assault third degree had been committed on the premise.
Well, if the police report says Winston, who is the victim, was offered medical treatment but refused to sign the medical forms, do you disagree with that?
Again, Your Honor, I would make an objection. She did not testify as to what happened during the incident.
Well,
Testified that she was made aware of the incident.
right.
I'll take your objection with the case. The witness can
But-
answer if she knows.
You have brought forth to the hearing commissioner today that this is some sort of a violation of this licensee's premises, and you want to revoke them and put them out of business. And you're basing that on a police report where everybody refused medical attention and was broken up by security. You would agree that, and it's also from May of 2022, which goes to my Steele argument. But is that why you want to close this establishment? Because they refused to report a bar fight which was broken up by security?
In accordance with 14.05090 improper acts, it appears that the licensees, agents, and employee failed to suppress acts that occur on or about their licensed premise. And this is not the first time. It's not, there are numerous offenses or violations that are listed throughout this report and several other reports that may not be here today, where it appears that the license holder is not or does not suppress acts that occur on or about their premise, fights, brawls, disturbances.
And to depress the acts of disturbances, you, Excise Commission, you, recommended that they have police at their own expense, and they have police at their own expense. Isn't that correct?
Based upon what you're saying, yes. I have not seen police. I was just out there. I did not see police, but
Okay.
that's
well,
based upon your statement.
Okay. Well, we have the police officer here. Let me direct your attention to your third incident you described as July the 6th, 2022. And again, I have a redacted police report on that. And again, you don't have this report in your file either, correct?
I have no police reports on the podium with me today, sir.
Okay. Directing your attention to page 6 of 7, and I'm going to make this short, but it said, the last line, neither could identify who was shooting at them. It's an assault case, obviously. But they believed it to be coming from an alleyway, from the alleyway near Midtown Bar. Do you recall that statement in the police report?
Again, Your Honor, I would like to object. Same objection. This is beyond the scope of direct. Furthermore, this calls for speculation as to what an officer said in a police report that she did not write.
I'll take your objection with the case. The witness can answer if she knows.
Based upon what you're saying, Our violation is improper act for the licensee failure to report any of these offenses that have occurred on or about in the vicinity. They have knowledge and they fail to report.
You have stated in your direct examination that there was a failure to cooperate with police by not giving by an employee not giving a password to one of these particular reports that you described. Is that correct?
Say that once again.
You have stated in your direct examination that one of the issues was that an employee at Midtown did not provide security tape, did not cooperate with the police. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you agree with me that at the request of the Excise Commission, a security camera was installed at the premises, correct?
It was submitted, it was a invoice submitted that they installed a video camera.
As far as you know, there's a camera there, correct?
That's what was submitted, yes.
Do you have any indication that there's no camera there?
Not at this time.
Okay. So, do your records reflect that the employee didn't have the password to it, or do you recall anything of that nature?
The employee that didn't have the password or refused to provide it is the 100% shareholder, Ms. Deidre Barron. And
Okay.
if she doesn't have the password, who do?
Well, did the police report indicate that she didn't have the password?
Would not divulge the password.
Does your file have any incident reports after July the 25th of 2022?
Yes.
Did you ask if there were videotapes of incidents that might have happened in the neighborhood from the Midtown Bar?
Those reports are not a subject of this matter today.
Okay. Well, I'm actually asking if there's been cooperation, if the police are working there from 7 to 11, would that indicate that there's police cooperation at least then?
I have not received any additional reports that indicate what was stated in the previous report.
Okay. And, well, we went down that road. I have no further questions.
Any redirect, Ms. Sim? Sorry, Ms. Shaw.
No further questions.
All right. Your testimony is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
City can call its next witness.
Thank you. The city calls Kate Eckelkamp.
Yes.
Okay, can I have you state your name and occupation, please?
Yes, my name's Kate Eckelkamp, and a neighborhood improvement specialist.
I think you may be able to adjust it if you need to. Okay, there you go.
Kate Eckelkamp, neighborhood improvement specialist.
Okay. Do you need her to spell it at all? Okay. All right, how long have you been a neighborhood improvement specialist?
for 1 year and 8 months.
And what do your duties entail?
We work with problem properties. We problem solve with residents. We respond to Citizen Service Bureau recalls. We go to neighborhood meetings, and we're out in the field reporting.
And you said reporting, what are you reporting?
City services that are needed. We report on problem properties as well.
Okay. Are you familiar with Midtown Bar located at 2816 Vandervanter?
I am.
How are you familiar?
I am familiar because I have driven by it many times. I have also attended meetings with Mr. Kim Martin and Marcia Edwards and the residents at Midtown and Bar.
What neighborhood is that in?
The Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood, I believe.
Okay. Can you tell us about your investigation into Midtown Bar and Grill?
I have started with neighborhood complaints, and I went over to the area concerning residents were complaining about traffic, not being able to get through on Vandevender, blocking of the alleys, jaywalking back and forth, drug activity, and it was just like a lot of people around all the time.
Okay, and so just to make sure I heard you correctly, you said people from the neighborhood
Correct.
were providing complaints specifically about Midtown?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me some of those complaints you received? I know you said traffic, and I couldn't hear a few of the other things.
So there was not trafficking, I'm sorry. The traffic, they were people double parked in front of Midtown that are not allowing people to get through. The blocking of the alleys on both the alley next to Midtown and across the street at the gas station. There's a lot of cars that are parked. A lot of residents were complaining that the patrons of Midtown park on the gas station parking lot, and there was complaints of constant like people, that there's always people around all the time, and a lot of just different kind of like theft crime as well.
Did you happen to investigate these complaints?
I did.
What did you do?
I took pictures and I made several observation reports.
Okay. What did you observe?
I observed that there are people that are blocking the alley. I observed people using drugs behind the Midtown and Bar Grill. I observed people parking on the gas station parking lot, blocking the alley, and I observed several people that are either just sitting outside or sitting around the gas station and Midtown and Bar.
Okay. And you said people sitting outside of Midtown?
Yes.
Okay. So would these be patrons of Midtown?
I am unsure. Some looked like they were security. They were not labeled as such. Others I would observe is that there was a lot of cars that would pull up to the gas station lot. The people that are sitting outside of Midtown cross the gas station lot. They go to a car, and then they go back over to Midtown.
Okay. So, but some of these people would originate from Midtown?
Yes.
Okay. Could you observe what they were doing?
Most of the time, they were sitting outside, either drinking or smoking, and just sitting.
Okay.
And yeah.
So you also stated that you have been to owners' meetings with Midtown?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the date of the owners' meetings that you attended?
The first one was in April 18th, was the first owners meeting I attended.
Okay. And who was present? Do you recall?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the date, April?
April 18th of 2023.
Okay, thank you.
And what happened during this meeting?
It was discussed about the liquor license at the meeting. It was discussed about the complaints that we've been receiving, and it was asked in Midtown to add more security.
Okay. Do you know who was present at these owners' meetings?
There was Mr. Kim Martin, there was Miss Marcia Edwards, and I'm sorry, I do not recall the gentleman's name. He was their security officer.
Okay. Do you know whether this property has been deemed a nuisance property?
Yes.
What role would you play after the property has been deemed a nuisance property?
We report on the property. Any complaints that are put in from residents, we put into the database. We make sure that when we go to the owners' meetings, we are taking notes. We add those notes into the meeting, and we update the problem property database.
Do you know if any formal recommendations were made as a result of this?
Yes, there was a recommendation for security 7 days a week.
Do you know whether Midtown followed the recommendations?
I do not believe they did. I don't believe they did not get more security every day.
Okay. And so just going back, I know you said that you have a tendency to observe. So did you observe Midtown post-meeting?
I did.
Okay. And about what time of day would you say that you observed?
I had observation photos from April 25th of 2023. I have observation photos from June 13th of 2023, June 23rd of 2023, March 4th of 2024. And we had meetings between the resident, Mr. Kim, and I believe Marcia Edwards was there. And the state rep, Kimberly Ann Collins, was the one that started the meetings on July 7th of 2023. And then we had a follow-up meeting with the residents again on September 15th of 2023.
And let me just make sure I understand. When you say residents, do you mean people from the surrounding community?
Yes.
And did they continue to make complaints?
Yes.
Okay. And did these complaints change, or were they the same complaints that you stated earlier?
They were the same complaints.
Okay. Okay. So based on the complaints that were given, as well as based on your investigation, would you say that this is normal activity for a bar and grill?
I do not believe it is normal.
Not been shown, no foundation laid, and no showing as to her qualifications as to what activity of a bar and grill would be. She's a neighborhood improvement specialist, which does not necessarily make her an expert, and nor has she been qualified as an expert on restaurant behavior and clientele behavior.
Quick response, I'm asking her again based on her observation in her investigation.
I'll take the objection with the case, and the witness can answer the question.
I can answer?
Yes.
Okay. Based on my observations, I do not believe that the Midtown Bar and Grill have normal behavior of what I have seen from other restaurants.
And why would you say that?
Because other restaurants don't block the alleys, and other restaurants I have seen do not have as many people hanging out consistently.
So loitering?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Billings?
Ms. Egelkamp, and maybe this again, I didn't quite hear you. You are the neighborhood improvement specialist. By whom are you employed?
The city of St. Louis? The city of St. Louis?
Oh, okay, you're a city employee.
Correct.
Okay, I got you. But you're not part of the police department?
No, I am part of it's the Neighborhood Stabilization Division.
Gotcha. When you observe these incidents you've just testified to, say you saw maybe a drug sale, or you saw somebody blocking an alley, or you saw somebody double parked, did you report that to the police?
I have reported it to the police about the alley blocking, yes.
Okay, and did they respond?
That I am not aware of.
When you saw these same incidents, did you go in and talk to anybody at the Midtown that hey, there's somebody double parked in your alley behind your building? Did you report that to them?
I have reported it to them before. I have asked them to move the orange cones. I have asked them to move a vehicle before as well.
And did they do that? Did they respond? I'm sorry.
I've asked them to move a vehicle as well.
And did they do that?
They do, and then when I drive by later, it's back.
Okay. Well, you also indicated there was, in your mind, a violation at the gas station. Did you talk with people at the gas station to determine if that parking was allowed there?
We have.
Okay, did you go over and talk with them when you said you saw cars parked there? Did you go over and knock on the door and say, is this allowed today?
They've referred me to call the owner. The attendant has given me the phone number of the owner. He only picked up one time, and the one time I did speak to him, he said he was not saying that they would allow him to park there.
Okay. Did you see anybody at the Midtown restaurant directing people to park at this gas station across the street?
No, I have not seen them direct him, no.
And Midtown doesn't own the gas station across the street?
No, they do not.
And they don't have any control over the gas station across the street, as far as you can?
Not as I can tell, no.
No more than they have control over the streets, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Redirect.
I do. Can you describe Midtown?
Midtown, the bar is at the very end of a long strip of buildings. It's on the first floor. There are apartments above it, and it's right next to an alley. There is a barber shop, a church, and I think a smoke shop that are all within the same strip inside Midtown and Bar and Grill. It is kind of smaller, narrow and long, and there is a bar, and there are like if you were to walk in, there's a bar on your right, and there are tables on your left.
Okay, and you said during your time as a neighborhood improvement specialist, residents were specifically complaining about Midtown Bar and Grill.
Yes.
And you said that you specifically talked to Midtown Bar and Grill about some of the issues that you were having with the property.
Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify, they would fix the problem for that short period, but as soon as your eyes were not on them, it would go right back to normal.
Correct.
And how would you be able to see this?
So I would drive by on my way to my surveying. If I'm out in the field, I would take note. If I had to talk to them, I would go do my other things I needed to do, and I would drive by again later in the afternoon on my way home.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
If I may, it was a neighborhood improvement association organization, whatever you call it, that recommended that the Midtown not have people live upstairs, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe you don't know. They don't have anybody living upstairs right now, correct?
From what I understand, it was closed down.
Oh, it's closed down, you said.
Right.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right. Witness is excused. Thank you. City, you can call your next witness.
City calls Aaron Hine.
I do.
Ms. Hine, can I have you please state your name and occupation?
Officer Aaron Hine, I'm a problem property police officer for the city of St. Louis.
How long have you been a problem property officer?
10 years.
Okay. What is your current assignment?
I am in Central Patrol, but my area is mainly in the 3rd District.
Okay, 3rd District. Are you familiar with the location at 2816 North Vandervanter?
I am.
Or how are you familiar?
That is it has a cease and desist letter or order per the city of St. Louis attached to it from my recollection around 2020.
Okay, and how were you involved with that?
So, since I'm assigned to the Central Patrol, particular addresses that are on the cease and desist property, they come up for review. We talk about them, I as in the problem property team with the city. If there is an incident that occurs there where there's a report written or whatnot, that comes directly to one of us, and then we write summonses on that.
Okay, so let me just clarify. What is a cease?
So if a property shows a continual pattern of nuisance activity, and that could be anything from assaults, disturbances, noise violations even, a pattern is shown that they're a nuisance to the community, then we have a meeting, and the attorney basically determines if it's going to get a cease and desist order attached to it, which means that particular property, if an incident occurs there, then there will be additional summonses from the city saying, maintain nuisance, or if the issues are not remedied, then a summons for failure to abate can be issued to the owner.
Okay, and have you ever written a failure to abate to?
I have, yes.
Okay, do you remember the date?
Yes. It was on March 20th of 2024.
Okay, you mentioned a 2020 date.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned a 2020 date?
That was the original cease and desist when it was put on the property.
Okay, and did you write that failure to abate?
On March 2024, I did write the failure.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so are you aware of a cease and desist that was issued on July 20th?
The cease and desist on 2816 North Vandervanter was updated every
Okay.
So since 2020, then it goes 2021, 22, 23, and to current times, yes.
So how often do you frequent this property?
If we're in our travels in the 4th District, we'll drive by it. I can't tell you exactly how frequent.
What do you normally observe?
A lot of loitering outside. They do block the south alley with the cones. I'm mainly, of course, it's during the day for their pickups, I would assume. So a lot of people standing outside waiting. They're parked up and down the street. So,
How does this property differ from the surrounding area?
I'm sorry, could you
Or
repeat?
does this property differ from the surrounding area?
So there's not a lot of business around there other than the gas station. So there really isn't a lot of business around there. So
Okay. So you're saying it differs because it's a business, or what do you? Okay. So Midtown borders an alley, correct?
I couldn't hear you.
Does Midtown border an alley?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And have you observed any of the activities you mentioned affecting the throughway of the alley?
They did have orange cones in the alley, yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to kind of go back to this question, but how does this property differ from the surrounding area?
So again, there really isn't any other business over there other, again, the gas station. I did not see in our travels any loitering at the gas station. Majority of it, if not all of it, is right there in front of Midtown.
Okay. Do you happen to review calls for service for the area?
Yes,
Okay. Have you reviewed them recently?
yes.
Approximately how many calls for service would you say that Midtown has received year to date?
Somewhere in the vicinity of 20 or more or less.
For the entire year or for this last month?
I'd have to review it. I don't have it in front.
Okay, and I do have a calls for service list from March. Would that help refresh your
Yes,
recollection?
please. Okay, so according to this, from April 1st, 2024 to April 17th, 2024, we have, I'd have to count all these. It doesn't give me the exact number.
I'm going to object this document. First of all, it has been provided, although it's not necessarily that, but this is after the notice of our hearing was scheduled, and it is outside the scope of the issues to be covered in our notice of detriment hearing. What happened in April of 2024 is irrelevant.
Do you have a copy of this for Mr. Billings?
I do. I wasn't going to necessarily enter it in the evidence. I was going to get it through her testimony, but he can look at that copy as well.
Understood. I'll take your objection with the case. Witness can answer.
So this is the calls for service for Jeff Vanderloo area, the actual neighborhood. This isn't specific to 2816
Okay.
North Vanderveer. I'd have to count each and individual one, but there are 4 pages total.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, once a property has been deemed a nuisance, how can the nuisance be abated?
So, reduce the calls for service, be cooperative with the nuisance team on trying to remedy and abate the incidents that are occurring there.
Are you familiar with the robbery that occurred on January 16th of 2022?
I am not.
Okay. Are you familiar with an assault that occurred on May 26th of 2022?
I am not.
Okay. So based on your experience with this location, what type of activity occurs here?
It's a pattern. It's always kind of been the same. Disturbances, assaults, shootings. There's been a cutting, loitering. There you have it.
Okay. So based on your experience, have you attended any owners' meetings with this property?
I have not, no.
Okay. Okay. Are you familiar with a homicide that occurred on January 5th of 20?
Yes.
Okay. What happened then?
So an individual was dropped off to, he walked up to, I was en route to walk up to the front of the Midtown Bar and Grill, where then shots rang out and he fell to the ground.
Okay. Did you receive any information concerning the victim?
He did expire. He did die.
Okay. And okay. And this happened while the property was deemed a nuisance property, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Billings?
Officer, if I may, you talked about the calls for service in the Jeff Vanderloo area. You would agree that there's calls for service on your 4 pages of calls throughout Jeff Vanderloo, and they're all shootings, cuttings, loiterings. They're all, I mean, it's a pretty high crime area part of the city. Would you agree?
Sure.
The cones that you described in the alley, were they there, or do you know why they were there? Were they there to keep the alley from being blocked? No.
They were cones, they're roughly this tall, and they were all blocking the alley. We did ask them to move it so we could get past, and they did.
Okay. Well, Do you know if those cones were placed there in response to a complaint that the alley was being blocked, or do you know?
I don't know.
When you were there, did you make any arrests when you were passing by, when you were going on your, I know you have the whole territory, did you make any arrests for any illegal drug?
I did not.
Illegal activity at all?
No.
Directing your attention to your testimony about the homicide on January the 5th, 2021, you were acquainted with that. I don't know if you have the report, but I'm happy to show it to you. Direct your attention to page 2 in terms of location of offense. Do you have the report?
I do.
I direct your attention to right under where it says murder first, the second line, it says location of offense on the right-hand side. What does that say, please?
It says highway, road, alley, street, and sidewalk.
Okay. Does that indicate to you that this did not occur inside the premises at 2816?
Not inside, no.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you answer.
It did not occur inside, no.
Thank you.
Directly outside, though.
And you don't purport to say that this establishment can stop crime in the Jeff Vanderloo area, can it?
In the entire Jeff Vanderloo, no.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Redirect.
Just quickly, the incident that you just mentioned, it happened in the immediate vicinity of Midtown?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, witness is excused. You want to call your next witness?
Yes. Yeah. So if you don't mind, give me a couple minutes before I call my next witness.
Sure.
City call Stephen Strohmeyer.
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name and occupation.
Detective Steven Strohmeyer Jr. I'm a police officer with the city of St. Louis.
How long have you been an officer in the city of St. Louis?
9 years.
And what is your training and experience as an officer?
So I'm currently a detective for the last 5 years investigating shootings in the 4th District. And for training, I've taken a number of investigative training courses, from homicide investigator courses to interview and interrogation courses to general scene investigation type courses. And we update our training regularly, at least twice a year.
And I'm sorry, I think you said this at the beginning. I couldn't quite catch what you said, but what is your current assignment?
I work for the 4th District non-fatal shooting team.
Okay. Are you familiar with the location at 2816 North Van Venner,
Yes, ma'am.
Midtown Bar and Grill? How are you familiar?
I've received multiple assignments there for different things as a patrolman, and then several shooting incidents as a detective.
Okay. Are you familiar with an occurrence on June 18th of 2021?
I was the assisting detective to another detective that handled a shooting in the area, yes.
Do you know what time this occurred?
We got the initial call for shots fired at, like 11:45 at night.
Okay. What happened?
So from what I recollect is that we went up there and there was a bunch of people in the street, on both sides of the street in front of the bar, and then getting into their cars on the other side of the street. And basically we asked if anybody had heard shots fired, and we were told, that no one knew what we were talking about.
Okay. Are you familiar with an incident that happened on July 8th of 2021?
Yes.
What happened?
On that incident, we got a call for a shooting inside the bar. I was requested to come up there as a detective, and I responded and met with a few people who told me that a Kiera who was employed there had been involved in an altercation with someone named Reggie, and that shots had been fired inside the bar.
Did you receive any information concerning the victim?
No one would tell me who he was. He never came.
Do you know if Midtown has cameras?
It does.
And were you able to obtain any video?
I was not from their cameras. We have our cameras, but as far as the stuff inside the bar, we kind of ran into a roadblock with that.
Okay, where were you able to get the cameras, the incident from cameras?
I'm sorry, can you?
Which cameras were you able to obtain video for the incident?
We have real-time crime center cameras that are at Vandeventer in St. Louis, one of which points south, capturing the street, and also the sidewalk directly in front of Midtown.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to play video from the incident. And as this video is playing, can you explain what's going on?
So it is kind of hard for me. Sorry, my eyes aren't so great. What we are going to see is that a female is going to cross the street and go inside the bar. Might already have crossed.
So I'm going to ask you, though, as you speak, can you grab the mic?
Oh,
And
I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm just having a hard time.
you can
seeing.
take it off.
Okay. So, what I do know that happens is that a female goes across the street, goes inside, and then a brief time later, shots are fired inside the bar at the front door area, and then you're going to see some people kind of start to run away, and then they stop, and then she's going to come out, and she's going to keep trying to turn back, and her friends are going to keep kind of pushing her across the street to, I guess, end whatever confrontation she was in.
And you said shots were fired. Do you know how many shots were fired?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't recall.
Do you know where she was when the shots were fired?
So we found shell casings inside the door to indicate that she was inside the establishment.
Okay. Are you able to identify the suspect in the video?
I unfortunately I can't see so great. Oh, this is her standing in the middle of the street. She's just about to walk onto the sidewalk there. So she's going inside. You'll see people start to run, and then they kind of stop. And then after a moment, she's going to come walking back with what appears to be a firearm in her hand.
Can you describe the area? What is it? What intersection is this?
You're looking up the screen is looking south on Vanaventer, and the street that goes across is St. Louis. So you can see her walking out into the street now, and her friend in the yellow shirt and the young lady in the kind of fluorescent pants are trying to stop her from going back inside.
Can you tell whether she's going back inside yet?
I don't know if she ever made it back inside after the initial shots fired portion. Unfortunately, those umbrellas make it difficult to see what's going on right at the door, but we know that she is over there for right now. That that jump was some kind of fault in the camera system. So we don't know what happens for that minute or so. So that's the suspect that just walked into the street and is now walking back.
So can the real-time crime center detect when shots are fired?
That depends. We do have shot spotter technology that documents shots being fired in certain areas. I do not believe there was one over here at this time. They, in a moment, are going to start reacting to the call for the shooting and for shots fired, and start manipulating the camera. Trying to, obviously, they were just getting a call for the shooting. They didn't know anything, so they were trying to see if they could see any criminal activity happening directly in front. And you'll see them start to zoom here in a moment.
Do you know who was actually taken into custody as after this event?
I'm sorry.
Do you know who was actually taken into custody?
So someone was taken into custody unrelated to the shooting. An individual who is going to come out of the bar carrying a rifle and then stand in the middle of the street holding it. And then when the police arrives, he's going to put it into his vehicle across the street. You can see real time starting to move the cameras, trying to see if they can see what's going on. The gentleman with the rifle is right there with the black baseball cap next to the balloons. You can see the rifle in his hand.
And he's next to the suspect in it.
Yes. Yes, that is who we believe to be the suspect.
So he came out of Midtown with that rifle?
That's what it appears to me.
Do you know if there is anyone in Midtown that would check for that type of, I guess, rifle or a handgun to even be able to get in?
As far as I can tell, it would be impossible to hide that walking in, so I would say probably not. And this is real time documenting the car in case he were to flee. Because again, the police are just arriving. We don't actually know what was going on at this point.
Okay, but we do see police respond.
Yes. And then they are going to detain that gentleman who had the rifle, and it was determined that he did not fire during this incident.
And the man with the assault rifle is the one that is arrested in this.
He was detained.
He
I
was
don't
detained.
believe he was actually charged with anything because, like I said, he didn't fire the rifle during the incident. I, I don't believe he was charged with anything. I know that an interview was an interview was done with him and his girlfriend.
Okay. So police respond within 10 minutes for a shooting. And also during that time detain somebody with a large assault rifle coming out of Midtown.
Yes.
Okay, and you said during this incident you were unable to obtain video from Midtown?
That's correct.
Okay. How were you, what happened?
So we spoke to a bartender or manager on duty, whatever it was, and asked to see it. They contacted the bar owner, who they identified as Deidre. We asked her for the password. She said that she wouldn't be responding and that she would try to give the password to the employees. But then over the course of the next 45 minutes to an hour, that password was never provided. And she was calling the employees, telling them, oh, go over here, go over there, go over here, and always taking them away from talking to me because I wanted to speak to her because obviously I need to review the footage. So at the end, we ended up just seizing the DVR system.
And how were you able to do that?
We knew that if it was recording at the time of the incident, that it would have captured what we believe to be an assault first occurring inside the restaurant. So we seized it and prepared a search warrant.
Okay. And what's that process in preparing a search warrant?
You write an affidavit, which is signed by a prosecuting attorney and then later by a judge, authorizing you to view any footage on the device, whatever it might be that you're trying to view, be it camera systems. We can do them for cars, houses, cell phones, residences, anything.
Okay, and pursuant to the search warrant, you were able to obtain video?
So we don't know if the video was off or what the issue was, but we were never able to obtain any video from this. And the last footage that we were able to pull off of the system itself, this incident happens in July. It was hot out. There are people wearing coats. There's snow on the ground, so we don't know what the issue was. We were unable to actually get any video of what happens inside.
Okay, so you had the system, but you were
Correct.
still unable to
Correct.
get video?
Correct. And we don't know what would have caused that, but either it wasn't running or it had been tampered with. We have no idea.
Okay. Would you describe Midtown employees in Deidre that you stated, the name you stated, as cooperative during this investigation?
I felt like no one was cooperative.
Okay. Based on your experience as an officer, is this type of activity normal for a bar and grill?
No.
And why do you say that?
We have never had issues with getting video from anybody, especially businesses. Usually businesses are more than willing to just provide us whatever it is that we ask for. The congregating in front of the business at all hours of the day is above and beyond anything we see at any other bar or restaurant in the district that I work, at least. And then as far as shootings, other than Rain nightclub, I can't remember going to a place as frequently as we did for shootings that operates as a bar.
Thank you. No more questions at this time.
Detective, I need to talk to you about this video, but it's down about another 2 minutes. Are you controlling the video, or is there somebody else doing it?
I can try to control the video.
If you could just advance it, do you have a fast forward button, or do you have a?
Well, where would you like to go?
Well, I'm gonna tell you when I get there. It's only about a minute or two. Can you just fast forward it, and I'll tell you where to stop? It's got a 2 and a 4 feature to it. You can go faster than 2 times. You get to 4 times or 5 times. Get faster. And you can still go faster if you want to. If you got it 6 times. There you go. Oh, sorry. Okay, we're getting close. Go down to 2 times. Okay. Okay, keep going. There you go. Okay. While we're looking at this, the yellow tape is there, put there by police to keep people off because that's a crime scene. Is that correct?
That is an expanded crime scene. We try to push people back so that we can conduct an investigation. The tape does not indicate that that is where the incident happened.
Well, I mean, that's to protect the integrity of the crime scene. You're not fencing off an area a block away, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Next question is coming. Now, right. Fortunately, I'm not in control here. Okay, right there.
Nope.
Maybe we can go just another inch farther. We might get the same thing.
You want to keep going forward?
Well, can you go back just a hair?
I can.
No, I'm sorry, it's forward. Forward. police were better staffed in 2021.
This is actually a citywide aid call.
You can double it up or couple it.
Nope.
Go back to there. Right there. Stop right there. No, that's loud. Anyway, my point, oh, perfect, thank you. If you direct your attention to the video that's in front of you, officer, you'll see yellow tape that's marked right there at St. Louis Avenue and Vanderbilt, the intersection, is that correct?
Correct.
And then it runs down the sidewalk with the southbound Vanderbilt, is that correct?
Correct.
And it's actually running along the curb up to a blue, I guess that's just I don't know what it is. The roof of a tent of some sort. You see what I'm talking about, right by the light pole?
Yes,
And then it continues farther south down into the new side of it. Is that correct?
that's correct.
At no time did you see the yellow tape marking off the front entrance of this restaurant, did you?
That wouldn't be appropriate in this situation, actually.
Well,
We're preventing people from being able to go in and out, which the exterior scene actually already does. There's already officers and detectives inside, so blocking the front door wouldn't make a ton of sense here.
well, in your 9 years of police work, you would mark off all potential areas from any interference by any citizens, people to contaminate the crime. Is that correct?
Yes, it is blocked off.
So if there is, according to your testimony, some activity at this restaurant, you would have blocked that off so nobody could go in and out. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
So-
It's blocked.
In terms of the police investigation, all the pertinent crime happened in the street of Vanderbilt, because that's the part that's blocked off, isn't it?
Incorrect.
Well, that's
The
part-
incident happens inside the door. Inside the restaurant, we found shell casings.
No, that's not my question. I know you're trying to help. That's not my question.
Okay.
My question is, the yellow tape does not go to the restaurant, yes or no?
Yes.
Would that indicate to you that in the police mind that is investigating the lead officer, that the crime would have, the potential witness, potential evidence would be in the street?
Well, I was the lead investigator and I didn't believe it, so I don't
Okay.
know what your question is here.
Redirect from the city.
Just quickly, can you explain why the yellow tape is placed where it?
Well, at that point, we didn't know exactly what had happened, but I believe that they were blocking it off in case anything had happened relative to the gentleman with the rifle. And then as far as blocking the front door, the front door is blocked to allow easy access for officers and detectives still. Obviously, we wouldn't just put tape right up in the middle of a doorway when we're still actively investigating a scene.
Thank you, no further questions.
Witness is excused. Thank you. Can we go off the record for just a quick second?
Yes.
You just have one more witness, correct? Okay, and they're on Zoom, is that correct?
No, he's present.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It's about 12:15. Do we want to finish up with your case then and then possibly take a break, or do we want to power through?
If it please everybody, I have to be in Chicago for a funeral, and if we can keep going, that would be great.
Is that okay with the city?
Can we do like a
Yeah, a few
5 minute
minute
or
break.
something like that?
5 minute break now, or?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll take a 5 minute break.
Okay.
Or I don't actually even mind calling my last witness. Well, somebody's left, we'll go ahead.
Okay. We'll be back on the record. It's 12:13, so I guess let's just say 12:20.
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name and occupation.
David King. I'm a police officer for the city of St. Louis.
How long have you been an officer with the city of St. Louis?
I'm in my 33rd year.
What is your current assignment?
Currently, I'm assigned to problem properties unit.
Okay, are you familiar with the location at 2816 North Vanderveer?
I am.
How are you familiar?
Since I came to the problem properties unit in mid-October, to this date, for that particular address, there's been 23 calls of service that's come across our desk.
About how often do you frequent this property?
It's just been a couple times this year. The last one was in March, the day of a shooting that occurred before we got there. Or, I'm sorry, after we arrived there.
Okay, and what did you observe?
When Officer Hine and I pulled up, we were there to look at the second floor. We were going to assist the board up crew the following day to secure the second floor apartments. When we arrived, the alley was blocked with probably 10, 15 orange cones. We had to have one of the people that were out front move them for us. And I would say there's probably about 10 or 12 males, mostly, hanging out front, and a couple of them were barbecuing.
Okay, in becoming familiar with this property, as a result of your recent, or as a result of your assignment, are you familiar with the criminal incidents that have occurred in relation to this hearing?
Yes.
Okay. And have you noticed a pattern of criminal activity?
Sure. Since I've been down there, there's been numerous shootings, assault first, a couple of cuttings, I believe a robbery, and maybe a couple of misdemeanor assaults.
And you said that you were there for a shooting in March.
I was not there, but I'm familiar with the one that happened there. We were there prior to it happening.
Okay, what happened on that date?
On that date, a male entered the bar, was inside. I'm unclear if he was ordering, drinking, or hanging out with people, but while he was in there, another subject walked in. He was dressed.
I'm sorry, this is not your firsthand information, so I'm a little bit late on this objection, but this is all going to be hearsay, maybe triple or quadruple hearsay by the time this officer. He wasn't there, he doesn't have the report, and it's outside the scope. Our hearing was scheduled on March the 12th. This may have been even after the notice of our hearing. I'm saying it's irrelevant and it's hearsay.
Objections noted for the record, and I'll take it with the case. You can go ahead and answer the question.
I do have the police report. I'm just going off of what I read earlier this morning. After the male victim was inside the bar, he was approached from behind by another subject who used a butt of a gun, struck him in the head, which caused him to fall to the floor. The subject then fired one round, striking the victim in the leg, and then the suspect walked out of the bar and then out of sight.
Do you know if there's video from this event?
I'm not 100% sure if there is or is not.
Okay.
I'm not the investigating officer on this case.
Okay. So I do have video, and I'd like to play it now. And I'm just going to have you describe what happened while it's playing. Do you know who that is behind the bar, the people, employees behind the bar?
If you're asking me, no, I do not. I don't know anybody employed there.
Okay. Okay. Were you able to identify the victim in the video?
No, I don't know who he is.
Okay. But I mean, what can you identify what he was wearing in the video?
The victim had on, it looked like light colored sweatpants, some kind of trousers, and dark top.
Okay. Now, did you know, based on your becoming familiar with this incident, what happened after the shooting?
The victim was conveyed to the hospital by somebody from the bar. And then police officers and our detectives met those individuals at the hospital.
Okay. Do you know if a 911 call was placed?
There was 911 calls placed. If I remember right, I believe they gave the wrong address at first. I think the address they used first was up the street. And then the officers and detectives determined that the incident happened, obviously, inside.
Okay, inside of?
Inside the bar.
Inside the bar.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Officer King, just a few questions. Obviously, the bar has video. Do you know if it was voluntarily turned over to the police at their request, or do you know?
From what I gather from the police report, a detective from the non-fatal team that works with Detective Strohmeyer was able to retrieve the video.
Okay. You indicated there was 23 calls for service in the area of Vanderveer in St. Louis. How many calls for service were there in the area that is identified by the police department as the Jeff Vanderloo?
I don't have that information. Officer Hine had that earlier. She had those calls for service for JVL.
Was that the 4 pages that she was referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, they would be in the thousands, would they not?
Depends how far back you go.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, on an annual basis.
For that for
The Jeff Vanderloo.
yes, it's a big neighborhood, but you know during the course of time it would generate a ton of calls for service.
Okay, that's all. Thank you. No further questions.
Redirect?
I have no more questions for this witness.
Okay, thank you. The witness is excused. Does the city have any additional witnesses?
Yes, the city would like to call Kate Eckelkamp.
You're still under oath, Ms. Eckelkamp.
Understood.
Okay, Ms. Eckelkamp, did you just watch the video that was played?
I did.
Okay. Were you able to identify the people working behind the bar that day?
I did identify Kim Martin.
Okay, and how are you aware that that's Kim Martin?
I've met with him several times
Okay.
concerning incidents at the bar.
Okay, and when did you meet with him?
Sorry, I don't have my dates in
Or
front of
what
me.
would be the type of event? Or-
I met owners' meetings and then at the bar with residents and the state rep, Kimberly Ann Collins, when they were bringing up concerns.
Okay, thank you. No additional
cross.
questions.
Witness is excused. Any additional witnesses from the city?
No, but at this time, I would like to admit the video and I'll exhibit it here today.
Okay. Mr. Billings, any objections?
I didn't hear the.
Admit the video as well as all exhibits presented here today.
Can you, just so the record's clear, can you give numbers to the exhibits so we're clear on what's admitted?
So including the video, there are 13 exhibits.
Okay.
I have no objection to the 2 videos. I've previously stated other objections to the other documents. I like them running with the records. But in terms of the 2 videos that have just been shown, although they haven't been properly authenticated, I have no objection.
Okay. And to be clear, the 13 exhibits you referred to, those are the exhibits in this binder before me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any additional evidence on behalf of the city, or do you rest?
The city rests.
Okay. Mr. Billings, you wish to proceed?
Yes, please. 2 short witnesses, Todd Ross, Detective Todd Ross, please.
Yes.
Detective Ross, would you state your name and your occupation for the record, please?
Oh, my name's Todd Ross. I'm a detective sergeant with the City of St. Louis, currently assigned to the Homicide Division.
You are familiar with the property at the Midtown Restaurant and Bar LLC, is that correct?
Yes,
And have you been employed by Deidre Brown on behalf of Midtown Restaurant to provide security? And by security, I'm talking about armed St. Louis City policemen working in their off-duty hours.
yes. I was contacted about officers working secondary employment there. Yes,
What we call secondary, okay? How long have you been doing that?
I guess it would have been around. I guess what April, May of 21. During the pandemic, towards the tail end of the pandemic, they were required to have secondary officers work at their location.
Okay, and over that, let's just go from 21 to the present. That seems to be the germane period of time. What days do you work, or do you staff the police officers working secondary at the Midtown Bar?
It was a Friday. It began as Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And what are you doing currently?
Currently, we do 2 days. Either it may be a Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. It just depends on what we decide are deemed to be more busier days, and that was based off of several meetings with I guess another city attorney, and she said that it was suffice for us to cut down at that time.
Okay, and what are your hours?
7 to 11.
7 to 11. Does the bar stay open, the restaurant stay open after 11 o'clock?
No, 11 o'clock, doors closed. Everyone's pretty much gone.
Okay, what's last call, if you know?
I don't know the last call.
Okay, but your hours are 7 to 11 when the bar closes.
7 to 11.
And is that consistent? Either you or your fellow officers are working there?
Yes.
No further questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes. Officer Ross, as part of your duties in working with Midtown, do any of your duties include reporting any of the criminal incidents to the Excise Division?
To the Excise Commissions?
Yes.
No, well, any serious incidents here, we have to, report it to our secondary unit and, make sure it's reported or recorded and, a report has been conducted.
Are you referring to a police report?
A police report, the secondary employment, know about it. Emails have been sent to the Excise Commission.
Okay, so let me ask this specifically. Have you sent any emails to Excise to report any of the criminal incidents that you've been involved in?
I have to go back and check. I mean, it's been, like I said, since 21. And I have other locations that I provide secondary from. So I will have to, go back and look into my emails to make sure, but I believe so.
You believe so?
I mean, I will have to, to give you the exact date, but contact has been made with the Excise Commission.
You personally have made contact with the Excise Department?
Me personally?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe I have an email, and also with Miss Ekpo, and also.
So that she's not with the Excise Division?
Oh, well, that's who all our meetings have been with.
Okay, so she's not with Excise. So have you personally reported any of these criminal incidents to Excise?
If they got them, I'm not 100% sure, no.
Okay, so no. All right, thank you. No.
All right.
Nothing further. May this witness be excused? He has to go to another event.
He can be excused, yes.
Thank you. Deidre Barron on behalf of the licensee.
I do.
State your name,
My name is Deidre Barron.
and do you have an ownership interest in Midtown Restaurant and Bar LLC?
Yes.
Does anybody other than yourself have an ownership interest in Midtown Restaurant and Bar LLC?
No.
Have you filed records with the Secretary of State for the state of Missouri indicating your 100% ownership in that LLC?
Yes.
Have you ever had anybody other than yourself own a portion, any portion of Midtown Restaurant and Bar LLC?
No.
Do you ever buy alcohol from Midtown from anybody other than a licensed wholesaler?
No.
Have you ever bought alcohol for Midtown Restaurant and Bar from other than a licensed wholesaler since you owned it?
No.
I should ask you, I didn't do that right. When did you start to own this?
I started owning the restaurant in 17, June of 2017.
And have you owned it consistently since that time?
I didn't hear you.
Have you owned it consistently since that time?
Yes.
Is Kim Martin an employee of Midtown Restaurant and Bar?
No.
Does he own the building where you operate the Midtown Restaurant and Bar? At
Yes.
2816 North Veneventer.
Yes.
What else is located at 2816 North Veneventer? Or in the building, and it may be different addresses, but in that building at
It's
St. Louis Veneventer.
it's a barber shop, and then it's a smoke shop, and then it's a clothing shop, and then it's a church.
Okay, and smoke shop, describe that.
Well, it's one of those shops where you can purchase, well, you know, I don't know much about smoking, but you can vapor stuff and, you know, stuff like that. But it's a smoke shop. That's what the sign says.
Okay. And do these businesses attract neighbors from the area?
Yes.
Okay, other than your place and the place, by your place, other than the building you're located and the gas station across the street, what's the next closest commercial building?
The next, if you cross over, it's a grocery store and liquor store on the other side of St. Louis Avenue. And then if you go down and across, it's the drop shop. That's like a barber shop. And then if you cross over that street, it's a barber shop. Then if you cross over that way, it's an appliance place.
Okay. But you would agree with the witnesses that have testified that your building and the gas station across the street get a lot of attention from people in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. And do you patrol that, and do you remove anybody who is causing a disturbance?
Yes.
And do you try to protect the patrons that come into your establishment?
Yes, I do.
Does Mr. Martin, to your observation, try to protect the property from any happenings or criminal conduct?
Yes.
Does he try to do that on a daily basis?
Yes.
There's been some discussion about a blocked alleyway. Do you know anything about a blocked alleyway?
Well, when they complained about the cars parking, we were announcing on the microphone, please move your cars. So that kind of helped a little, but it didn't. But we put the cones there so they couldn't park there. That was the reason we put the cones there. And
Was
then,
that in response to a police complaint that the alleyway was blocked?
well, to me, the complaints was not the police, it was the neighbors.
Okay.
The neighbors more so complained about not being able to get up and down the alley because some of them can go in their backyard. They couldn't drive, you know, up the alley to get in the back of their houses.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the things you've done. One is that you have security there. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have security there full time. I mean, by full time, I mean,
Well, the days they require, yes, and we close early. We close at 11 instead of 1:30.
that's a separate issue. But the first issue is they asked you to have security there, and you do have security.
Yes.
Number two, they asked you to change your closing time from 1:30 to 11. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Do you now close at 11 o'clock?
Yes.
They asked you to remove the people from upstairs, the tenants and people who were living upstairs. Did you do that?
Well, Mr. Martin did that, yes,
Mr. Martin did that.
because that's his
It's his
property
building.
up there.
Okay,
Yes.
but you were involved with that decision, is that right?
Well, yes.
The neighbors complained, so you asked Mr. Martin to get rid of the people.
And part of the problem with that, with the upstairs, and when they say the back is a parking lot, back behind the 5 businesses,
Yeah,
and stuff that's happening back there is really not, it's activity back there, but we had an issue with homeless people putting tents and stuff back there. So we were dealing with that also.
Okay. And did you do your best to clear that up? Or
Ye-
Mr. Martin cleared that up?
Well, yes.
Okay. There's been some discussion about your video system, specifically on the January the 26th video. Did you have a video system then?
Yes.
Was it working?
It was working. That was around the time we had just got one. And that was the incident when Marcia Evans did call me. We had just gotten it, and I had left the passcode somewhere down in the drawer or whatever. They said they couldn't find it. So when they contact me, I was doing something else. I told them to tell them to take the camera. They have taken that camera on 2 different occasions.
Okay. But did you voluntarily give them the camera because you couldn't find the passcode?
Yes, I told them they can take the camera.
And expecting it to get it back, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you get it back?
No.
On another occasion, did they come in and you couldn't find the passcode? You told them to just take the camera.
Yes.
Did they do that?
No.
Did they take the camera?
No. And
They took the camera.
yeah,
didn't
they took the camera, but I didn't get it back.
Okay, so 2 times they've just taken all the equipment, and 2 times you didn't get it back.
Yes.
But have you always had a camera in there,
Yes.
except for the times when it was taken by the police?
Yeah. So, no, after they took it and I didn't get back, I purchased another camera. So after having to purchase 1, 2, that third one, I made sure the passcode is there, and they have gotten the tapes for all the other incidents after that with no problem.
Okay. If you have a disturbance at the location, what do you do about it? How do you call the police? Do you handle it yourself? Or you let it go? What do you do?
Well, because it's a bar, sometimes it may be verbal stuff, and sometimes you can't calm the people down and just tell them to leave and leave. But if they go outside and like it'll go to the street or whatever, I'll call 911. But we try to just, calm everybody down to get them to leave. That's the goal.
Okay, do you cut them off from drinking alcohol?
Yes, we'll stop serving them.
Okay. Have you done everything that's been asked of you by the Excise Commission? And we've had police reports going back to 2021, 2021, and then the first part of 2022. Have you cooperated with the police, cooperated with the neighborhood, cooperated with the Excise Commission to do your very best to run a clean place?
Yes. Every time it's time to renew, I always ask, well, what can I do? I know it's a high crime area. It's hard, but I have tried my best.
Is there anything that the Excise Commission or the City of St. Louis has asked you to do that you didn't do?
No.
You've done everything that they've asked
Yes.
since 2021?
Yes.
No further questions.
Question? City?
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
hello. Are you familiar with the notice of hearing for today?
With the what?
The notice of hearing for today? Pretty much the charge.
Yes. Yeah, the list of charges. Yes, I read them.
Okay. So did you see anywhere in the charging documents that you were charged with not having security?
It was one part they did. They put in there that we didn't have security, and I had to bring the license and all the days that they were here.
So specifically for today, are you
No,
charged?
not for today.
Okay. So nowhere in the charges are you charged with having or not having security. But you are charged with failing to report the change in ownership as well as failing to report several of the crimes that have occurred.
I did hear the complaints, but as far as the ownership, I am the sole owner. I listened to what was said about Marcia Edwards, but at no time has Marcia Edwards been given ownership. I have been the sole owner. I'm the one that renew all the license and handle all the business when it's time to do the paperwork. The tax returns is in my name under Midtown.
Okay, so if I were to give you a document stated consent agreement where Marcia Edwards has signed as the owner, would that change your mind about whether or not she's an owner?
Well, let me see it. Okay, yes, I see this document, and this is my signature, but I don't remember us signing this together, and I didn't approve this.
Okay, but you signed it and she signed on
I
as an owner.
signed it, but when I signed it, her signature was not there.
Okay.
Because
but
I remember what this is.
So even under the signature block, what does it say?
It says owner and manager, but this
So
was,
even had she not signed it, she was listed on a document when you signed it as an owner?
well, maybe I didn't pay attention or whatever. This was with the health thing, when we had that meeting or whatever. I remember what this was when we had the health, but
Okay, so maybe things happen. I do have another question though. You also mentioned your list of employees. Who do you have employed at Midtown?
but presently, let me see, 1, 2, 3. I've never really had 5 employees.
Okay.
And in the beginning, my employees was family members. I have 2 adult kids that passed the background that's on there. A lot of people, it was a family business, and a lot of family was just donating time to me.
Okay. And you said Kim Martin was never employed?
No,
Okay. So did you happen to receive a subpoena from Department of Excise on September 2nd asking for business tax returns, employee payroll?
and I did supply all the tax returns. At that time, since I didn't really have any employees, my family was helping me out. I was just starting to get employees, but now I have an accountant, and I do pay payroll taxes now.
Okay, but at the time you did not pay payroll taxes.
At the time, I'm gonna tell you something. In the beginning of this was all new to me. I had to figure some stuff out, hire some people to get to know the thing. But I would say since 2022, in the middle of the up until now, I've really handled everything really good. In the beginning, it was some things I had to work on, but I always asked with the exile department. I had several meetings, and everything that they suggested, I always worked on and completed.
Okay, so then going back to that subpoena, do you remember reporting Kim Martin as an employee?
No.
Okay. I have a list of 5 employees, you being one, Kennard E. Hips.
Yeah, but he doesn't work there anymore.
Okay, anymore, but at this time, again, most of these is from 2020, 21, and 22, like you just stated, after things changed.
Yeah.
George Barron, Marcia Edwards, and Kim Martin.
Well, maybe I put Kim Martin down. When I put employees, I didn't really understand, because at that time, even though they really family donating time or whatever. George Barron is my son, and actually Kim Martin is my brother, so we family. This is a family business.
Okay, but I just want to call attention to, you said he was not an employee, and then you
I
said
didn't consider any of them employees then, and then when I got the payroll company and everything set up where I really had to pay employees, his name is not on there. I was under the impression they just wanted to know who was actually working.
So you reported him as working there?
Working is doing stuff. He couldn't work behind the bar, I know that. He was doing stuff like, sometimes I couldn't be there to accept the deliveries or go to the grocery store and get supplies and stuff like that. He helped me do some things that I was not able to be available for.
Okay, so it sounds like he also had a bank card in Midtown's name?
He was on I am the sole person, or he's on there on a signer. So the purpose was days I couldn't go deposit money or whatever, he can deposit money and he can do banking business for me.
Okay, and he also made purchases using that same card.
Yeah, he did make those purchases, but they
Okay.
weren't for Midtown.
Okay, so he's made purchases using Midtown's business card. He's listed to excise after you later reported that he was an employee, but your testimony says that he's not an employee.
No, he's not an employee now.
Okay.
I didn't, like I said, in the beginning, I was new at this, and I was learning. So I had to figure out a lot of things, and the accountant explained it to me, and I got everything set up right. And I do pay payroll taxes and everything now. But when they asked me, I didn't even know anything about that until they brought it to my attention, the tax returns and all of that. So that's when I hired some people and got everything set up.
Okay, so you said things are set up now?
Yes.
Okay, did you happen to view the video that was just played of
Yes.
the March 12th
Talking
shooting?
about the one on March the 12th?
Yes.
Yes.
And the NIS Neighborhood Improvement Specialist just identified Kim Martin in the,
Yes, he was there.
behind the bar?
He was back. So my understanding, I thought that people could come behind the bar, but they couldn't sell liquor. Being behind the bar, putting ice behind the bar. Now, that's what I thought. I know he can't serve drinks or whatever, but I didn't know it meant that anybody that's not working couldn't walk behind the bar.
Okay. All right. So going back to the incident, there was
Which incident
video,
you talking about?
still the March 12th.
12th, okay.
We do have video from a shooting that happened inside the bar. Okay. Were you there on that day?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
I came that evening, but I wasn't there that morning.
Okay. But again, Kim Martin was there.
He was there,
Okay.
and the bartender was there.
Okay. Do you know who called 911?
Well, when they told me, I told the bartender to call 911, so I'm assuming she did.
Okay. So are you aware whether Kim Martin called 911?
I'm not aware.
Okay. Did you hear the officer's testimony that somebody called and gave the wrong address?
I did hear that, but okay, so I'm taking at it if I
I would
instructed them
object to
to
this
do.
question. This is asking her to comment on another witness testimony. That's improper.
I asked if she heard it.
I wasn't aware because, to my understanding, the police came there. I didn't know they went to another address first. This was my first time hearing it. To my understanding, they came. I made sure they got the tape. I called and reported the incident, sent the email.
Okay.
Your objection's taken with the
Thank you.
All right. So based on your testimony, you are cooperative with the officers?
Yes,
All right.
it may have seemed like I was uncooperative, but I couldn't give them the code because it wasn't there. But I gave permission to take whatever they needed.
Okay. So we already talking about the same thing, the assault incident. Okay. And the officer testified that he had to obtain a search warrant to seize the entire video.
No, they took it that night the incident happened. So if they got a search warrant, they never gave me no search warrant. I gave them permission to take it, and they took it each time when it happened. They didn't leave and come back. They took it then.
Okay. All right. So in regards to this incident as well as several others, have you yourself personally reported any of these incidents to the Department of Excise after they occurred?
Yes, I would have to go back and pull in my email, but I've called about, I would say 5 to 6 incidents.
Mm-hmm.
And I was under the impression that, okay, so if it happened inside the bar or right outside the bar, but I'm listening to this when they talk about the area. If something happens on the filling station lot or in the middle of the street, or if it happens 2 buildings down, I didn't know I was obligated to report it. I thought that if it happened inside the bar or outside the bar, that was my responsibility. Or even if it happened in the alley, I don't own the alley, or around the back, I figure, Kim, that's his property on that parking lot. I thought I was responsible, and my license and my lease was for inside the bar and out, the patio area.
The vicinity. So the video, did you watch the video that from the real-time crime center that showed
Yeah.
the vicinity? Okay. Did you call after that incident and report that incident to excise?
Did I do that? I would have to look, but I believe so. But to
Okay.
my understanding, I reported it wasn't a shooting. The shooting was right there, maybe at the door, outside the door. It was an argument on the inside, and they started on the outside. I actually kind of looked at the video that we had or whatever, but at that time, and
Is
that
this
was-
the same video that the police had to get a search warrant to seize?
well,
This
they
the
didn't
report?
have to get a search warrant because that's two occasions. They took the camera on the day incident. So if they said maybe they got a search warrant, look at it when they got it, but they took it out of Midtown the day the incident happened. And by the way, I didn't get neither one of my cameras back. I had the purchase on them cameras. So that's why after that, they can get the videos because I make sure that the password is there.
Okay. So, police said that you were uncooperative during the investigation, that you would not allow them to speak to employees.
On which incident?
The same incident, we're talking about the same incident.
We talking about the one on the 12th?
No, the one from the assault first, the real-time crime scene, like you said, the shooting in the doorway.
Okay, so that's not necessarily true because I wasn't there. I was called, so I didn't tell anybody not to talk to them. They called me and said they couldn't find the thing to get the video, and I was in the process of doing something else, very personal, and I told them, just tell them take the cameras. I never told anybody not to cooperate, not to answer questions. No.
Okay. So, I mean, if that's the case, it seemed like they would have received the password, but, okay. Okay, well, I have no other questions for you at this time.
No redirect.
Okay,
You may sit down.
I can sit down. You want this back?
Do you have any more witnesses?
Nothing further on behalf of the licensee.
Okay. Any additional evidence on behalf of the city as rebuttal?
No.
Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard on this? All right, seeing none. Next, I'm going to ask the parties, I guess that will conclude the hearing, first of all. I'm going to ask the parties to prepare findings of fact and conclusions of law. How long do we need to do that?
Do I have a copy of your exhibits? Is that my copy or is?
No, you have everything I've sent you. Oh, you did.
You just,
said you
the
didn't
stuff
get-
you emailed me?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, oh, she's our bartender. No, thank you. We're done. If I've got everything, I got a couple federal things. Can we do a month? Well, we have to wait for a transcript.
Do you know how long it will take to get a transcript ready? No longer than 2 weeks.
I mean, well, I don't know if we need a transcript. We all heard the evidence today. I would ask for 7 days, but I understand if, I would say at the most 14.
Okay. I'm inclined to say 14 days for the parties to submit draft findings of fact, conclusions of law, if that's.
After the transcript?
Well, I mean, do you need the transcript to do?
Yeah, I really do, to give you a precise finding of fact. I think we need to have that, don't we?
I think that's a delay in time at this point. Again, he has all the exhibits. He heard the testimony today.
All right. I'm going to say 14 days to prepare findings of fact, conclusions of law. If you don't want to submit anything, you don't have to, but I'll,
Okay.
here we have from there. Okay.
So that day is, whatever that is, 19 plus 14. Okay, I'll figure it out.
May 3rd.
Thank you.
And then once I've got your drafts, I'll try to get them turned around, or I'll try to get a
Okay,
copy returned within a week. Okay.
and thank you for all your courtesy, personal timeline. Working through lunch.
All right, no worries. Thank
All right, I
you.
think that'll conclude this matter.
Thank you.